Hello again, it's Deacon Don, and this is a reflection for Wednesday, October 14th, 2020, and I'm going to do something just a little bit different. Nothing heavy, nothing deep, nothing theological. I just want to have a little bit of fun with you today. And I want to give you 10 perhaps little-known facts about the Catholic Church that may be of interest to you. And I'd love your feedback. I'd like to know whether you like this or not. Because I can do more. I can give you some other things that might be fun as well. So again, this is no test. It's just something fun, and I'd love to hear from you. Okay, so let's do this. The first little known fact is that Vatican City has the highest crime rate in the world. It really does. It has a population of about 500 people, and there's a little over one crime per day, which means the Vatican has a crime rate of over 100% per capita. Sounds pretty high. Although the fact is somewhat shocking, it should be remembered that the Vatican is only about 1 square mile in size and has nearly 20 million visitors per year. And most of the crimes, unfortunately, are pickpockets, purse snatchers, and other petty offenses and things like that done by the outsiders. But it's still something that's kind of interesting. Second little fact is that the Catholic Church is the only Christian church in existence for the first 1,000 years of Christian history with the Roman Catholic Church. All other Christian churches, which exist today, can trace their lineage back to the Roman Catholic Church. And most non-Catholic churches which exist today are less than a century or two old by comparison. This isn't a judgment, it's just something interesting, because sometimes people don't realize that the Catholic Church was first. And so in that regard, it's kind of an interesting fact for all Christianity. We're all looking to work together, don't get me wrong, but the Catholic Church has a history that basically goes right back to Jesus Christ. Kind of an interesting fact. The third fact is that the Catholic Church consists of more than just the Roman Catholic rite. There are 22 Eastern rites in the Catholic Church that are in full communion with Rome. And although they go by different names, of course, they are every bit as much of the Catholic Church as the Roman Catholic Church. Another interesting fact, which is probably one reason why Catholicism is considered universal. It encompasses everybody. The fourth interesting fact is that Jonas Gutenberg, the guy who invented the printing press, he was Catholic. And guess what the very first book was that he printed? It was the Catholic Bible. Go figure, but it's kind of an interesting fact. The fifth thing is the Catholic Church is entirely responsible for the composition of the Bible. There's a lot of misconceptions about that, because the Catholic Church deemed which books were included in the Bible, as well as the breakup of all the chapters, of all the verses. Protestants have removed some of the books of the Bible because the verses were inconsistent with their own theology. Martin Luther was a prime offender of that. He removed the book of Tobit, he removed the book of Judith, he removed the first and second Maccabees, the book of Wisdom, the book of Sirach, and the book of Baruch. He also made an effort to remove James and Revelations, but that didn't go well. His followers didn't like that, so those books were kept. The Catholics are often accused of adding books to the Bible, but despite this common belief, it's absolutely false. Older Protestant translations of the Bible included what the Catholics had put in. But in later times, they removed some things because it didn't fit into their own theology. But we didn't add anything. It's actually that they took things out. Number 6. Interesting question. See if you know this. How many saints are recognized by the Catholic Church? Any idea? I'll give you a second. Well, I don't think there's an official number, but the number actually does exceed 10,000 saints that are listed and identified as being a saint. Of course, we all know that every person who enters heaven really is a saint by definition. So we all have that opportunity. But it is certain that a number of actual saints in existence is much greater than the number that we are recognized by the church. But the number that's recognized is about 10,000, which is really a lot. Number 7, this question often comes up as who can perform a baptism? Any Catholic can perform an emergency baptism, such as if the person is in grave danger of death. And in such case, the validity of the baptism only depends upon the wishes of the person being baptized. They need to want to be baptized. There are, of course, specific guidelines guiding the baptism of individuals by non-clergy, and all those practices must be followed. Anybody wishing to know more about that, they're clearly outlined in the Catechism. That'll give you a much deeper understanding of what's required. But generally speaking, it really is good practice to let the trained clergy handle the baptisms, because it just makes more sense doing it that way. But of course, in an emergency, that can change. Let's see, number 8. Here's something that many people don't realize about us Catholics. About 15% of all hospitals in the United States are Catholic. In some parts of the world, the Catholic Church is the only provider of health care, education, and social services. The Catholic Church, through the years, has been an enormous benefit to mankind, because it was the Catholic Church that the incentive was to be able to provide all these services that other places couldn't provide. And it's still true today. Number 9. Here's kind of interesting. The Catholic Church spends more money than Apple brings in expenditures every year. Kind of interesting. The Catholic Church spends about $170 billion, at least in 2012 when those numbers were recorded. And most of those expenditures were spent on charity and services, whereas Apple took in $157 billion that same year. Apple's pretty big. Catholic Church is much bigger. And we do it because we provide the services to people, not because we have the wealth per se, but because we have the money and the resources to be able to provide service to others. And I think that's pretty important. Number 10, and this I find to be probably one of the more interesting items. Do you know the Pope has his own guard? And they're called the Swiss Guard. The Swiss Papal Guard, actually. And they wear uniforms that were designed by Michelangelo. Pretty cool, huh? And they are commonly armed with what they're called halberds, which are like the lances and things. But they're capable of using heavier weapons if they need to. Each member is Catholic, male, and Swiss, and must complete all of their military training in Switzerland. They must demonstrate good conduct and be at least 5'8" in height. Those who are chosen are granted a private audience with the Pope along with their families, and in extreme circumstances, they are expected to guard the Holy Father with their lives. The Papal Swiss Guard is the oldest active military unit in continual existence since the year 1506. Pretty cool, huh? Well, that's what I have for today. I hope you liked it. I'd love to hear your comments. And if you do like it, I can do more. Well, listen, everybody. Have a fun day. Have a good day. Have a holy day. And God bless you all. Take care.